It was a fabulous late 19th century Remington portrait. You're the first for me. I've never reprimanded a guest for manhandling a painting before.
I'm glad you're taking care of my painting.
Think your old stuff is just junk? Think again. This proves that hidden treasures lurk in the most unexpected places. From a watch worth more than a house to a painting that had been gathering dust for decades, you won't believe the shocking valuations waiting to be uncovered. Stay tuned. One of these finds has a story that will change everything you thought you knew about antiques. 1850s Navajo blanket. The 1850s Navajo blanket is a prime example of American craftsmanship, and its story goes far beyond just its intricate weaving. This textile is more than a mere artifact. It's a treasure of cultural significance, embodying centuries of tradition passed down through the hands of the Navajo people. Native to the American Southwest, the Navajo weaving tradition dates back hundreds of years, with each piece telling a story of the people, the land, and the spirit of the community. These blankets were not only functional, serving as clothing and bedding, but also symbolic of status and wealth. Made of wool, they often featured geometric patterns and vivid colors that represented spiritual and cultural beliefs. The blanket's story takes a more personal turn when you delve into its past ownership. The connection to Kit Carson, a famous frontiersman and U.S. Army officer, adds a layer of historical intrigue. Kit Carson was a key figure in the westward expansion and the Navajo Wars. The blanket was said to have been gifted by Carson to the foster father of the owner's grandmother, a fascinating tidbit that ties this object to one of the most notable figures of the era. While the owner wasn't sure of the complete story behind the gift, the connection to Carson intrigued experts and added historical weight to the blanket's value. Valued the piece at a stunning $350,000 to $500,000, though he acknowledged that on a good day, it could be worth much more. Today, the blanket's value has only increased as the appreciation for such artifacts grows, with modern auction records showing similar items reaching over $1 million. This 1850s Navajo blanket continues to hold its place among the most highly sought-after treasures in the world of American antiques. Why is this blanket considered a national treasure? It's not just because of its historical and cultural value, but because it represents a crucial part of American history. The blanket weaves together the Native American narrative, the frontier era, and the complexities of the U.S. expansion. The significance of preserving such an item, not only for its monetary worth but for its cultural importance, ensures that it continues to be valued today as a true gem of American heritage. But not all antiques are traditional artwork. Some come with a fascinating backstory, like this baseball card collection, 18th century jade collection. In one of Antiques Roadshow's most unforgettable moments, a woman from Raleigh, North Carolina, presented an extraordinary collection of 18th century jade objects, an heirloom passed down through generations. These pieces, exquisitely carved, were a testament to the fine artistry and cultural richness of China during the Qing dynasty. They weren't just beautiful, they were steeped in history, representing centuries of Chinese craftsmanship that blended artistry, spirituality, and functionality. These jade objects were no mere trinkets. They were symbols of prestige and power, often reserved for the wealthiest in society. Their intricate designs, often depicting mythical creatures and landscapes, told stories that spanned thousands of years of Chinese history. The collection's backstory created multiple mysterious elements through the way the woman's father dedicated his life to his work. The military officer obtained the jade artifacts during his service in China from the 1930s until the 1940s, when China experienced major national upheaval. The young man had access to these items because he lived during a period when Western society did not recognize their value. The traveler discovered these uncommon objects during his time in China, which became part of his private collection. The untrained observer would see these objects as common items, but they actually represented exceptional historical artifacts which contained unique narratives from their past. The collection received an Antiques Roadshow appraisal, which produced an unexpected valuation result. The jade items, which were believed to have no worth, now valued between $700,000 to $1 million. The media coverage reached an extreme level, while the appraiser showed the woman her family heirlooms, which had astonishing value. The value of these pieces increased dramatically, which created demand from collectors and museums throughout the world. Major news outlets covered the segment, which helped spread the excitement about the collection. 1870s Baseball Card Collection. The story behind the 1870s baseball card collection presented on Antiques Roadshow is one steeped in history, family legacy, and a little bit of luck. These cards, which had been tucked away for generations, came into the owner's hands through her great-great-grandmother, who had a boarding house in Boston. This seemingly ordinary collection of cards turned out to be extraordinary, and the connection to the Boston baseball team made it even more special. The cards had been collected during a time when baseball was in its early days as a professional sport, with players far from the household names they would eventually become. But for the family, these cards weren't just collectibles. They were a part of their history, passed down through generations, kept safe, and nearly forgotten until this moment. What made the collection even more fascinating was its direct historical connection to the Boston baseball team and the Cincinnati Red Stockings, one of the first professional baseball teams in the United States. The cards, dating back to the early days of professional baseball, were part of the historical fabric of the game itself. The Boston team, with its ties to the Red Stockings, was a pivotal part of early baseball, and these cards were a testament to that rich history. The team members themselves were among the first to be paid to play, and the significance of these cards went beyond just their value. They represented the beginnings of the game we know today. When the appraiser laid eyes on the collection, his excitement was obvious. As he examined the cards, he marveled at their condition and rarity. The letters from the team members themselves added an irreplaceable level of provenance, giving the collection even more depth and authenticity. The appraiser's valuation, a jaw-dropping figure of $1 million, an amount that reflected not only the cards' historical importance, but also their cultural significance. The combination of these early baseball cards, the direct connection to the Boston team, and the letters from the players made the collection one of the most coveted pieces of baseball memorabilia ever presented on Antiques Roadshow. So, what makes this collection irreplaceable? It's not just the cards themselves, but the story they tell. These cards represent the origins of professional baseball, the start of America's pastime, and a moment in time when the sport was beginning to solidify its place in the heart of the nation. They are more than just collectibles. They are a direct link to the dawn of professional baseball, and that's what makes them priceless. Rolex Oyster Cosmograph Watch. In one of the most memorable moments on Antiques Roadshow, a U.S. Air Force veteran shared the fascinating story behind his Rolex Oyster Cosmograph watch. Purchased in Thailand during the 1970s, the watch was originally bought for $345.97, a price equivalent to a month's salary for the serviceman at the time. Back then, it was just another luxury item, something he didn't think would one day be worth more than his home. The veteran purchased the watch while stationed in Thailand, an experience that likely shaped his memory of the piece. It wasn't an impulsive buy. He carefully selected it, and in hindsight, it was a decision that would pay off handsomely. The watch's path continued to develop after its first sale. The watch remained in the safety deposit box for 3 decades after its owner used it throughout the years. The veteran owned multiple timepieces, but he used this specific watch only for infrequent checks because he seemed to forget about it. The item stayed locked in the vault for 3 decades while it collected dust and remained hidden from any potential buyers or collectors. The Rolex watch that he left behind would become a valuable treasure worth multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he did not realize at the time. The watch first appeared on Antiques Roadshow when the appraiser showed extreme surprise at its existence. The veteran expected it to fetch a modest sum, but the appraiser quickly recognized the rare Paul Newman model it was. The Rolex Oyster Cosmograph watch exists as one of the most highly demanded timepieces throughout the world, because it features both its unique design and its restricted production. The appraiser determined the watch value to be between $500,000 and $700,000 because of its outstanding condition at that time. The surprise didn't end there. The watch, which exists as one of the most uncommon Paul Newman models, displayed an auction value that astonished both the veteran and the audience. The watch had existed as an unimportant item for 30 years until its actual worth remained visible to everyone. The military watch purchase transformed into a valuable historical timepiece through its transformation into a high-value military artifact, which demonstrates how vintage items experience value fluctuations with the passage of time. 1907. Robert Henri painting. The 1907 Robert Henri painting, featured on Antiques Roadshow, holds a captivating story that spans generations. The portrait, a family heirloom, was originally painted by Robert Henri, a prominent American artist known for his skill in capturing the essence of his subjects with raw emotional depth. The painting was passed down through the family, where it was cherished not just as a piece of art, but as part of their history. The portrait depicted a family member, and while it was a beautiful work of art, it didn't carry the fame or recognition of some of Henri's other pieces. At the time, the painting seemed like just another family relic, valued more for its sentimental importance than its monetary worth. The portrait had been in the family for decades, but when the owner first inherited it, the painting was severely undervalued. The initial appraisers who saw it in the 1960s dismissed its significance, simply labeling it as an old family portrait. They believed that because it was a private commission, it didn't hold much value in the art world. The initial estimate for the painting was modest, and it was regarded more as a curiosity than a masterpiece. For years, the family kept it out of the public eye, not realizing its true worth, and its value was considered negligible. But as tastes in the art world began to evolve, so did the recognition of Robert Henri's works. Art collectors, critics, and museums started to reevaluate Henri's place in American art history. Known for his contributions to the Ashcan School, Henri's work was seen in a new light, and his portraits, which had once been dismissed as lesser works, began to receive the recognition they deserved. The shift in the art market's tastes led to a dramatic increase in the value of the painting, and by the time it was appraised for Antiques Roadshow, it was estimated to be worth between $250,000 and $300,000, a far cry from its initial valuation. The impact of the family connection to the artwork was undeniable. This painting wasn't just another piece of art, it was a direct link to their personal history. The family's ownership added layers of historical and emotional value, making the artwork even more significant in the eyes of collectors and appraisers alike. The portrait was more than just a relic. It was a rediscovery of a long-lost masterpiece, marking a shift in how personal history and art intersect to create extraordinary value. 1847 James Henry Beard painting. The 1847 James Henry Beard painting, titled The Illustrious Guest, presents an intriguing historical tale of discovery, misattribution, and the eventual recognition of its immense value. The artwork, which depicts the influential politician Henry Clay, was passed down through generations of a family who believed it to be the work of a different artist altogether. For years it hung in their home, appreciated for its artistic beauty, but not regarded as a significant piece. The family had no idea that the painting was, in fact, a masterpiece by James Henry Beard, a renowned 19th-century artist. Instead, it had been mistakenly attributed to a lesser-known painter, meaning its true value remained largely hidden. Appraiser quickly recognized its significance. The subject of the portrait, Henry Clay, was one of the most prominent politicians of the 19th century, and the style and detail of the work pointed to James Henry Beard as its creator. At the time of its creation, Henry Clay was a well-known figure, and Beard, a talented portrait artist, had captured the politician's likeness with remarkable skill. Once properly identified, the painting's value skyrocketed, leaving the family in awe of its true worth. The appraiser made an incredible valuation of the illustrious guest. The painting, which people initially thought had a value of only a few $1,000s, now holds a market value between $300,000 and $500,000, which has surprised everyone who works with the artwork. The appraiser praised the painting so highly that he described its museum quality, which allows it to be displayed in any major exhibition space. The newly obtained recognition of the artwork transformed it from a family heirloom into an essential historical object that represents American artistic development. The historical value of the painting became stronger because the museum dedicated itself to its conservation efforts. The Amon Carter Museum of American Art developed interest in the artwork after it appeared on Antiques Roadshow. The museum curator Rebecca Lawton identified the artwork as an essential street-to-street historical material which shows the life of antebellum America. The artwork presents Clay as a man who participated in changing the political situation before the Civil War, which transformed the piece into both an art object and a time period representation of social conflicts and political beliefs. The illustrious guest has become a famous artwork, which absolute American history through its depiction of a crucial U.S. historical event and its demonstration of Beard's artistic talent. You thought paintings were the most valuable antique finds? Well, sometimes the unexpected items, like a portrait of a long-lost politician. 1896 Frederick Remington Portrait. The 1896 Frederick Remington portrait, The Illustrious Guest, was not just a piece of art. It was a family heirloom with a history steeped in generations of ownership. The portrait, featuring the owner's great-grandfather, had been passed down through the family, becoming more than just a painting. It was a cherished link to their personal past. For years, the family believed it to be a simple portrait, not recognizing the true value of the work. They kept it in a safe place, carefully preserving it through the years, never suspecting that it could be a piece by one of the most celebrated American artists of the late 19th century, Frederick Remington. The portrait was handed down as a treasured legacy, but its value was hidden behind time and lack of expertise. When the painting was brought to Antiques Roadshow, the appraiser's reaction was nothing short of shock. Upon seeing the painting, the appraiser immediately recognized the distinctive style of Remington, known for his powerful depictions of the American West, Native Americans, and frontier life. This portrait, however, had never been linked to Remington before, and the family had no idea of its true significance. The appraiser was astounded as he carefully examined the portrait, finally revealing that it was an authentic work by the famed artist. The valuation given was jaw-dropping. The painting was worth between $600,000 and $800,000, far beyond anything the family had imagined. The shock was palpable as the painting's true value was finally realized, transforming it from a family relic to a priceless piece of American art history. Adding to the painting's significance was a unique letter that accompanied the artwork. The letter was a personal note from Frederick Remington to the owner's great-grandfather, offering further provenance to the piece. In the letter, Remington described their adventures and exchanged thoughts on their respective works. This correspondence, once considered a mere family keepsake, now added an irreplaceable layer of authenticity to the portrait, further boosting its value and historical importance. However, the story took a twist after the episode aired. It was discovered that the family had previously traded 2 other Remington paintings to a museum in exchange for the illustrious guest. But there was one problem. The 2 paintings they had traded were later revealed to be fakes. The family had no idea at the time, as they had believed the paintings were authentic. This twist added an unexpected layer of intrigue to the portrait's story, making its rediscovery and subsequent value all the more fascinating. Despite the earlier trade of the fakes, the illustrious guest remained a true treasure, cementing its place as a remarkable discovery in the art world. Alexander Calder Mobile. The Alexander Calder Mobile, featured on Antiques Roadshow, tells a fascinating story of art, generosity, and unexpected value. The Mobile, a graceful and intricate piece of modern art, was gifted to the family under truly unique circumstances. The family's connection to the renowned sculptor began when the owner's aunt, an avid artist herself, created a needlepoint pillow based on one of Calder's designs. Calder, who was known for his kinetic sculptures and mobiles, was so impressed by the intricate needlepoint design that he decided to show his gratitude in an unexpected way. He gave her one of his own mobiles in return. This exchange, which might have seemed like a simple gesture at the time, turned out to be a priceless moment of art history. The backstory of the trade adds an element of charm to the story. Calder, who had already made a name for himself as a pioneering figure in modern sculpture, was astounded by the needlepoint pillow that the aunt had crafted, which replicated one of his own works. To show his appreciation, he personally delivered the mobile as a gift, an extraordinary moment that was shared between the artist and a family who had no idea of the magnitude of the gesture at the time. The family had no real understanding of how valuable the mobile would become in the years to come, viewing it simply as a token of appreciation from a famous artist. The appraiser at Antiques Roadshow showed astonishment when he first saw the mobile device. The appraiser studied the item and discovered that it belonged to an extraordinary category of mobile devices. The art market considered Alexander Calder to be an important artist, and the mobile device which he created during the 20th century became an exceptional discovery. The appraiser assessed the mobile device between 2 extreme auction prices, which reached from $400,000 to $1 million, according to market conditions and final selling price. The family had received the mobile device through an exchange which included a needlepoint pillow, so its value became impressive because of this exchange. The art world values Calder's work because of his revolutionary developments in kinetic art, which he implemented through his artistic creations. Calder transformed traditional sculpture by developing sculptures which used kinetic elements to create moving and interactive art pieces. His mobiles demonstrate a living art form because they float in the air and respond to the faintest air movement. The artworks transform into sensory experiences which the audience can explore instead of just viewing the art. Calder established himself as a leading artist of the 20th century because he developed artworks which moved through space and generated emotional responses in viewers. The mobile device, which first appeared in exchange for a needlepoint pillow, now serves as evidence of his artistic legacy. 18th century rhino horn cups. The 18th century rhino horn cups presented on Antiques Roadshow are as fascinating as they are controversial. These 5 intricately carved cups, collected in the 17th century, are a reminder of a time when rhino horn was prized not just for its rarity, but for its unique qualities as a material. Used in various cultures, rhino horn was believed to have medicinal properties, and it was also highly valued for its beauty and craftsmanship. The cups were not just everyday objects. They were symbols of wealth, status, and refinement in an age where luxury goods were highly sought after. These exquisite items were often commissioned by the elite, who used them as a sign of their influence and taste. Today, however, they are at the center of a significant ethical and environmental debate due to the drastic decline in rhino populations caused by poaching and habitat loss. The appraiser's reaction to the rhino horn cups was mixed. While the craftsmanship was undeniable, the legal and environmental concerns surrounding the use of rhino horn made it a challenging item to value. The appraiser explained that these cups, although valuable due to their age and artistry, were also controversial. The environmental and legal issues surrounding rhino horn made it difficult to provide a simple valuation. The market for rhino horn artifacts, particularly those as rare and detailed as these cups, is fraught with complexities, given the international bans on rhino horn trade. Despite this, the appraiser gave the cups a conservative valuation of between $1 million and $1.5 million, acknowledging their importance as both art and history, even if they were tainted by their controversial material. The situation became even more complicated when China, one of the largest markets for antiques, imposed a ban on the import of items made from rhino horn. This import ban had a profound effect on the market, causing a dramatic drop in demand for rhino horn artifacts. As a result, the auction outcome was less than expected. Only 2 of the 5 cups were sold, fetching a total of $329,000, far below the anticipated price. The other 3 cups failed to find buyers, reflecting the shift in attitudes toward rhino horn and the increasing awareness of conservation issues. 1904. Diego Rivera painting. The 1904 Diego Rivera painting featured on Antiques Roadshow is a rare and remarkable find, steeped in mystery and family history. The discovery of this long-lost painting, which had been hidden in the family's possession for decades, shocked both the appraiser and the family. The artwork, a stunning example of Rivera's early style, had been tucked away in a corner of the family's home for years, overlooked and forgotten by all but the family. The owner had inherited it from relatives who had kept it hidden due to its damaged state. The painting was in poor condition and had been stored in a less than ideal location, which may have contributed to its invisibility for so long. No one in the family knew the true significance of the piece, and it had remained unappreciated as just another forgotten family heirloom. Discovered that Diego Rivera created the painting. The appraiser at Antiques Roadshow experienced strong excitement when the painting arrived at the show. The appraiser studied the artwork, and he instantly understood its significance. He discovered that Diego Rivera created the artwork as one of his hidden masterpieces which scientists had lost for years. Rivera created powerful murals which showed his deep understanding of Mexican history and culture. The painting showed a subject who existed outside the boundaries of his later works, which made him famous. The artwork served as a personal piece, which showed a situation that had faded from memory during its time of lost value. The appraiser found the artwork's actual identity, which created a moment of great importance for historical events. The painting received immediate approval as a Diego Rivera painting, despite its damaged state, which caused its estimated worth to increase sharply. The appraiser estimated the painting to be worth between $800,000 and $1.2 million, which showed its value as an essential work in the artist's collection. People praised Rivera's artwork for its bright colors and social messages, and this painting maintained that tradition. The painting existed as an artistic and historical treasure, which achieved greater significance than his major mural works. The artist's early work showed a rare opportunity to see his developing artistic style, which developed before his emergence as a renowned mural artist. But the story behind one artist's 1904 masterpiece takes things to a whole new level. 1914 Patek Philippe watch. The 1914 Patek Philippe watch featured on Antiques Roadshow came with an incredible story, spanning generations of ownership and a rich family history. This wasn't just any watch. It was a rare Patek Philippe, a timepiece that had been passed down from the owner's great-grandfather, who had received it as a gift in 1914. The watch originally belonged to the owner's great-grandfather, who was the proprietor of the St. Paul Pioneer Press and Dispatch newspaper. It had been handed down through the family, from father to son, and eventually to the current owner, who cherished the timepiece as both a family heirloom and a symbol of their legacy. The family had always known it was a valuable item, but they had no idea of the immense worth it would later fetch. When the watch was presented for appraisal on Antiques Roadshow, the appraiser's initial reaction was one of cautious optimism. The owner had hoped the watch might be worth $50,000, but the appraiser's valuation was much higher than anticipated. At first, the appraiser estimated the watch's worth at around $200,000, which was already an impressive sum. However, as the appraiser continued his examination, the realization set in that this particular Patek Philippe watch was far more valuable than anyone had initially thought. The one-of-a-kind nature of the watch, along with its impeccable condition, raised its value considerably. The true value of the timepiece became clear when the appraiser revealed that the watch was a unique piece, unlike any other of its kind. Patek Philippe, a brand known for its impeccable craftsmanship and exclusive designs, had created this watch as part of a special collection. The rarity of the piece, combined with its historic significance, made it an incredibly sought-after item in the world of horology. Over time, the watch's value only increased, with collectors and enthusiasts eager to own a piece of Patek Philippe's prestigious legacy. If you enjoyed discovering these unbelievable finds, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more shocking antiques revelations. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. And be sure to check out the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss what we've uncovered next.